Welcome back, YouTube viewers. Sorry it's been a while since I've uploaded a video, but I've been really busy. Been breeding a lot of killifish. This is a season for that, so I've not uploaded any videos. But I wanted to show you the 75-gallon tank that I redid. I didn't completely tear it down or break it down, but what I've done is I've changed a few of the plants around. And the reason I did that was because of the fact that the Ludwigias that I had in here were really just growing just ridiculous. I really, it was high maintenance. I was trimming the plants bi-weekly and sometimes, and it really got to be a hassle. So what I did was I substituted a lot of epiphytic plants such as the Java ferns and a lot of Anubias, and I went with slower growing crypts. And of course I did keep the Hygrophila pinnatifida, but I did add a Postemogon in the back, which is gay-eyed, sort of a grassy-like plant, really nice. I added, instead of the Postemogon erectus, I added Rotala nangentium, which grows, it's much smaller in leaf form, and it's a much more open plant and easier to control. I did keep the Rotala indica, but I've kept it pruned. I added the Altotrinia reinecke, which is here, the red plant, and the Heterozena zosterofolia, which is y'all call stargrass. I did keep the Eliocharis parvula in a certain section, and I added the Liliopus brasiliensis in the front in place of the Glossostigma elantoides. Keep in mind, I've only had this tank set up or changed for about a month, so there is a little bit of algae growth, so I'm controlling that. But initially what I did was I had the entire surface covered with water sprite, and I removed that today to get a little more light to the plants, because I did that initially to compensate for removing the Ludwigia. Since I was doing a big nutrient, even though I did multiple water changes, it's still you would get a preponderance of algae growth if I continued the same regimen of CO2 and lighting and so forth that I had in the tank before. So in order for the tank to adjust, I added water sprite, which I did remove today. But I'm much happier with this grouping of plants because I think it'll give me at least, I had to reclaim some of the real estate, and it'll give me at least a better view of the tank. And so that is Morinara here, a Bacopa. Nice plant. I also added one plant that I'm I really fell in love with. It's a Sterigani species. It's a Sterigani hyber, which is a huge plant compared to the way Sterigani repens grows, but it is a huge plant that is absolutely stunning. I'll try to get a view of it from the top for you. But as you can see, the leaves are absolutely stunning. It is a huge plant, and I'm just about to prune it back, but I just want to give you a glimpse of the leaves. It's sort of like a Hygrophila, but if you look at it, the leaves are serrated, and they have, some of them have a purple tinge. Some of the older leaves have a purple tinge to them, but I'm really proud of, I really like this plant, and I plan on using it again. This is just a top view of my tank. As you can see, I still have some duckweed that I used extensively as well. So just wanted to give you a brief update on the tank. And oh, I do have some larger ferns in the tank, which are starting to come back out. If you notice that frond in the back, I'm going to cut the old growth off. These were huge. I have them in a tank at home, and it's 280, I believe. And the fronds are just huge, and so it was growing really big. So when I put it in this tank, it's sort of out of scale, but it will adjust. Some of the other Java ferns, I have needle leaf, trident, and some of the Anubias caufilifolia here. I have a petite somewhere over here, and the red plant in the back, although I still have the Rotala macranda. I have a small section of it. I added the Rotala wallacei here, which I like much better. I'm just now starting to regrow some of the tips, and you notice that it's much redder than some of the older parts of the plant. So it's really coming back out, and I think it'll make a nicer display versus the Rotala macranda is nice, but it just gets too dense, and it grows very quickly, and it can be a problem if you don't want a high maintenance tank. See the Cryptocarnia parva in the front. I still have the Wendtii, which has a lot of blackbeard algae on it. The thing I do with that is, as the new leaves come out, and it always happens when you have this plant was in the tank previously, and when you have those older leaves, what happens is, and I had to move them around a little bit, so with ADA soil, it really gets powdery, and so it has a tendency to float when you disturb it. So that sticks to what little bit of algae is on the leaves, which causes this blackbeard algae. And frankly, the only way I found to get rid of it is simply to cut off the leaves. Fortunately, I didn't remove the crypts from the tank, so they're still in the same tank. So they're growing profusely. They'll come back out, and they were at least 6 inches when I moved them. So I've had to cut off a lot of leaves, but once they grow in, and the parva grows in at the bottom, I think they'll be fine. I still have as I said, the Hygrophila pinophytata here, and which is one of my favorite plants, and of course a few Hydroctos here and there, which I kind of like that plant. It's hard to kill, by the way. Believe me, I've almost done it, so they're hard to kill. So and of course in the back, the Postemagyne yatabensis in the back, which was in this tank previously. It was just on the other side of the tank, actually right in here, and I removed it because actually it was too tall for a foreground plant. The Rotala grandulifolia, a lot of people call it Rotala green, but it's actually grandulifolia. I planted it in the foreground on the side primarily because it takes pruning very easily, and believe it or not, I started with 4 branches of this, and I've grown this in a little over, I had it in another tank, so it's about 2 months worth of growth, but actually it grows very quickly, and a lot of people call it Rotala green, but it's actually grandulifolia, and it has a tendency to creep along the gravel, which you can do. You know, it will grow along the gravel line and shoot up stems straight up in the air, and that's how it creeps along the substrate. And it's very intrusive, so you've got to kind of watch it. But I found it easy to control, and it's not as bad as some of the other bigger overgrown Ludwigia species that I had in this tank initially. So I'm very happy about those. I've even planted it in one of the pieces of driftwood here. So you see it curling down. Now it will attach to the wood as well. I've seen it grow along the wood line, so it's a very, very quickly growing plant. And initially I had Hemacanthus calicatoides in there, which is baby tears, and then the fish kept bothering it, the platies kept eating it, so I just removed it and added that little stem of the Rotala, and it seems to be doing quite well in that spot. I did want something growing out of there, but just wanted to give you guys a brief update. And keep in mind, this tank basically has ADA soil, Amazonia, on top of fluorite. I used about 2 inches of fluorite in the tank, 2 or 3 inches in some spots of fluorite, just plain red fluorite. And what I did, I added the ADA soil on top of that. And it was a matter of economics. You know, the fluorite is around $16 a bag. The ADA soil, depending on what size you buy, the regular is $30 a bag. If you go up to powder, it's $40 a bag plus shipping. So, and the only place I found that actually has the larger bags, and I would buy it in the larger bags if you have a larger tank, or if you have a smaller tank and think you might use it in another tank, it's cheaper and more economical to buy it in the 9-liter bags. But at any rate, shipping can be 40 or 50 bucks. So, you know, it's expensive, but I think it's worth it. As you can tell, I did add more fish. There's about 40 fish in here now, small tetras, and my favorite, the black skirt tetras. And of course my scissor tails, which are about 3 inches now. They look like sharks going through the water. And of course the sunset platies that I rescued at a outlet mall somewhere. They had them in a jar and were selling them. I don't know why, but anyway, I rescued them. You can see they're beautiful. I mean, they're actually beautiful fish. Um, I have 5 Agassiz catfish, and of course I have the Chinese algae eaters. There are 3. And guys, I just wanted to update you on my tank. As you can tell, and I will update you on the newest tank in my office, which is a 100-gallon acrylic tank, which I have up and running, but it's cycling right now, so I don't do the Amano style where you plant a tank and then fill. I don't do that. So I have my own way of cycling a tank, and it's worked for me for about 40 years, so that's what I do. And I did do videos on it, by the way, so I'll show it to you. But that, you know, that's just my way of doing it. I think I just believe in the old-fashioned way of cycling a tank. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if any comments or suggestions, let me know. Thanks for viewing.